Good afternoon and welcome to the September 18th, 2012 meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have the roll call, please?
Authority members Friedman.
Here.
Manukian.
Here.
Mincy.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Taro.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chair Najarian.
Here. May I have your report, please?
The agenda for the September 18, 2012 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, September 13, 2012, on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. The next item?
We have approval of minutes at item 4, the regular Housing Authority meeting of Tuesday, September 4, 2012, and the joint City Council and Housing Authority meeting of Tuesday, September 11, 2012.
I'll move the minutes on the September 4th. According to this, September 11th, the joint meeting with the Council and Housing Authority, I believe Mr. Manukian and Mr. Quintero were absent.
I was here in spirit.
Oh, let me make a note of that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
With no other objections or corrections, those minutes will be approved as submitted. Next item, please.
At item 5 are oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
I have one card from Herbert Milano.
Housing Authority Chair Najarian, members of the Housing Authority, and staff. My name is Herbert Milano. A couple of months ago, or maybe it was 3, that I came before you to make a request that the city look once again at the status of the report of the status of youth in Glendale. I brought a PowerPoint, I did a summary of it, and I believe that the consensus at the time was that a report will come from the city manager to you to basically refresh some of that information. The last study on the status of youth in Glendale was in 2001. At the time, the report stated that the city spends on youth, counting police and the gang unit and the libraries and parks, that the city spent only 1% of its total gross revenues on youth, roughly 2.4% of the general fund. And it appears that, to me, that throughout this last 11 years, the city has continually, should we say, underfunded or not addressed unmet needs of many youth and children in Glendale. And that unmet need is prevalent and evident in many ways. The city has undertaken, back in 2002, a quality of life indicators, and it did it again in 2009. I wish you would do it more often because the quality of life indicators from the last report shows a significant increase in obesity in children, school-age children. But there's also something fairly significant as well. The quality of life indicators also tells us that Glendale is significantly underserved when it comes to parkland. Areas in further north Glendale, in the areas of where Mr. Weaver lives, for example, there are 6 acres per thousand. Areas further north, 6 acres per thousand. Here, where we are in the recreation planning area 10, we have 0.02 acres per thousand. And I think that the city needs to bring those 2 reports, the quality of life indicators and the status of youth in Glendale, because you need to create policies, or at least create the type of awareness needed so that when you create your budget, you have a full awareness of how you're going to meet the unmet needs of a fairly significant portion of the population, 14%. You know, when I looked at some of the reports coming from the Glendale Unified School District, and the reports were stating that they graduated 96% of the kids, it turns out that that was not actually accurate. The actual number was actually 75%. We drop about 25% of our kids who don't finish in 4 years. And so we have all of these societal problems. We have a city that for many years has increased its budget by hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet we are not able to work together with the school district to create really cohesive progressive programs that would allow us to take care of those needs of youth. And I want to basically create that level of awareness once again. City of Glendale has been charging water and utility rates to the school district that are unlawful. We're not supposed to charge them with the capital facilities costs. Yeah, you've been doing it for years. It is my hope that if this city reassesses that problem, that you could take some of those funds and create the after-school programs necessary to be able to address the problems of youth in Glendale. Now, when many of you ran for office, I know that when Mr. Quintero in 2005 was running for re-election, when Mr. Najarian was running for office, and when Freeman was running for office, I met with all of them having to do with that report, the quality of life indicators. At the time, I was given the assurances that they were going to make, or that you were going to make, an emphasis to address the unmet needs. But somehow something magical happens. You get elected, and all of a sudden those reports are not created anymore, and there's no evaluation with regard to what's happening to the unmet needs of these kids in this area in Glendale. And I think it is within the purview of the Housing Authority, because you get HUD funds, and because you could augment those HUD funds to provide additional sustainability programs, that you look once again, and on a periodic basis, bring here both a quality of life indicators report and the status of youth in Glendale. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no other cards. Mr. Minson?
I just have a question. It's brought up almost every meeting about the quality of life and also report on youth. Is there any plans to report on back, and do you have any idea of when approximately?
Yes, sir. We had indicated we would have that this summer. With all of the changes and reorganizations, that's been delayed. The Community Services and Parks Director, Mr. Duran, and I met on it just yesterday. It will be coming back in the next several meetings as we get ready for our first quarterly report back to council, looking at performance indicators for every one of our line departments. So you will have a comprehensive look at it. We just have to get to it in the normal course of our business.
Good.
Thank you. I have no other cards. Next item, please.
Are there any authority member or staff comments?
Mr. Weaver.
Mr. Milano is correct in the lack of facilities for children in this area. Back in the 1990s, I read the reviews of the documents that were written, and it described this area is the most in need in the entire city for additional parkland, right here. And I remember when I had laid out the block to the north of us on the other side of Wilson, and I figured out you could put at least 2 soccer fields in there, baseball diamonds, tennis, everything. And the pitch at that time was, we don't need that as much as we need retail. See what's across the street now. The retail amounts there were exaggerated, in my opinion, on what it could bring to the city. So who suffers? The kids. So Ms. Malone was right on that, but the council voted the other way.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
1999 to somewhere around there.
Not this council.
Oh, no, I said
Okay,
the
all right.
council.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Housing Authority is adjourned.
Okay, I will call to order joint